Hello and welcome back to the Chartreuse Leprechaun Upgrade Chronicles. I'm Mark, your host around here, and it's been kind of busy since our last dumpster fire upgrade video. We took Labor Day weekend, that's a U.S. holiday for those of you that don't know, and went to visit family. Had a bunch of doctor stuff to deal with when we got back, and then there was my wife's high school reunion. But the dumpster fire is continuing. It's just not the same computer. I mean, it is. It's just not exclusively. But this is mostly good. Well, better. Well, it was better after we cleaned up the drive mess on my computer. You see, the way we stored and sorted our files was a train wreck, sort of. We had stuff that was on hard drives that needed to be on SSDs, vice versa. So we just decided to revamp the whole thing. Now here's what our drive space looks like now. And it's wonderful. It's all organized, neat, everything's where it needs to be. But making that happen started with a mess. Game files on hard drives instead of SSDs, wrong drive sizes for what we were using them for, well, except for G drive. G drive, which we titled YouTube Series, is the hard drive for our rendered video storage, and it didn't change at all, so we'll just ignore that one. And, okay, well, it mostly didn't change, but we'll get to that later. We also did nothing with our OS drive, which is a 500 gigabyte M.2, but I digress. Games have always been on D drive, and E drive has always been our video processing drive, but D drive, our games drive, or more specifically our Steam games drive, was on a 2 terabyte SSD, which was way too big for the amount of stuff that was on it. And E drive was on a 500 gigabyte SSD, which was way too small for the amount of stuff we sometimes put on that. So we decided to replace the 2 terabyte SSD on D drive with a 1 terabyte M.2. and then move the video processing to that 2 terabyte SSD that was D drive and make it E drive. But to do that, we had to free up space somewhere else. Well, F drive was the 2 terabyte hard drive. That's now H drive for our media, and H drive for our media files used to be what is now the external O drive. You starting to see what kind of a mess this was yet? I have absolutely no idea how old that external drive is. I really don't, which means I was absolutely terrified it was going to fail because that drive had all our media files, pictures, GIFs, video clips, all that stuff. It also had our GOG games on it, like, Fallout London, and we really needed those games on an SSD. What is now F drive? The one that used to be the 500 gigabyte E drive, the SSD? Yeah. So how did we do it? Well, we moved our games from D drive to G drive to free up the 2 terabyte SSD. Then we moved the video processing to the 2 terabyte D drive and renamed it E drive. That let us put in the new M.2 drive for our games, move all the game files from G drive to that M.2, and name it D drive. Now that left us with a really old 1 terabyte hard drive that we talked about before, a 2 terabyte hard drive, and a 500 gigabyte SSD. So we renamed the external drive O drive, then we took the GOG games from the old H drive and put them on that 500 gigabyte SSD. Remember the one that used to be E drive, except we renamed it F drive? Yeah. Well, then we put the media files from the old H drive on that 2 terabyte hard drive, the one that started out as F drive, remember? But we renamed it H drive, and that left the external drive with the installation files and some miscellaneous stuff we don't need anymore, which means we can just get rid of it. I just haven't done that yet. And that's how we got here. And that whole process took about 9 hours. Why? Because there were times the transfer rate between SSDs or that M.2 was 10 megabytes per second. Why? Actually, I have no idea, but thankfully it's done. Darn thing gave me a migraine event too, but thankfully that's done as well. So what's next, you ask? Well, with the Leprechaun around, you realize that's a dangerous question, right? Well, remember the dumpster fire computer? everything in that computer is on hard drives, and we're moving everything to M.2s. Moving the games? No problem. Going from a 1 terabyte hard drive to from a 1 terabyte hard drive to a 1 terabyte M.2, easy peasy, copy paste, no problem. But then we went to move the OS from that 500 gigabyte hard drive to a 1 terabyte M.2 with the Leprechaun around. Yeah. Well, I told Windows to back everything up to the local drive, and it said it did. So we did a clean install of Windows 11 onto the new M.2. Went perfectly. Then Windows asked if we wanted to restore the files. It even gave the date of the last backup. We said yes. And it didn't restore anything. And once again, we have no idea why. So we were having to manually restore all the files and settings and everything else. Good times. Good times. And, yeah, that's about it. The dumpster fire continues, but we may about be done with it? I don't know. We'll have our normal update video next week or another dumpster fire video. Who knows? But as always, I want to thank you for spending your time with us here today at the Chartreuse Leprechaun. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We love suggestions, game suggestions, improvement ideas, gameplay tips. Please no spoilers. Anything we ask for your help with today. Actually, I don't think there was anything. But anything you've got that'll help us get better, we'd love to have it. If you enjoy our content here, please hit that like button, subscribe, set yourself up for notifications. And if you'd like to support us here at the Chartreuse Leprechaun, there's links in the description below for that. But finally, the Leprechaun is out there, and his mission in life is to mess things up. He does it for me. He'll do it for you. He does it for everyone, everywhere, all the time. So, yeah, keep your eyes open because he's really good at it. And always, always, always remember that if you see it and you can't quite explain it, you can be positive the Leprechaun did it. Now, you have yourselves a great day, and we'll see you here next time on the Chartreuse Leprechaun. Bye-bye.